New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Welcome to I Know You Didn't Ask. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and I'm so excited to be podcasting here today. It's Monday, February 16th. I'm recording at about 6 o'clock, and I'm going to be turning this bitch around pretty immediately after recording. So bear with me if I have a bit of a lag in my brain capacity today. We're doing the best we can. I just came back from LA, a great little shoot. I mean, no tan in sight. 80-degree weather, hanging out outdoors for days on end. Didn't impact the color of my skin, which is unfortunate, but unfortunately expected given the Irish undertones that I have. However, I will say 80-degree weather has cured my seasonal depression for the time being. Again, tune in next week to see what mental shape I'm in. But, it was a great little reprieve. And I have to say, traveling for work can be hard. This particular project went very well. So, all good things. I mean, I just love being in a hotel room alone. I'm sorry. My first night, I got to the hotel around 10:30 p.m. Ordered a cheeseburger and fries directly to the room via room service. I don't know, but there's something so lovely about eating room service in bed, like in your underwear. Like I would never like open the door in my underwear, but like once the room service is like set up where I want it on a napkin, on the bed with the tray, the whole works. You strip down to your bras and underwear and you're eating like a gluttonous pig while your like belly is out. Like I don't know. I find it freeing. I find it a sweet release that I've been looking for. And also just being in a hotel room is so exciting because I don't have cable, so scrolling a channel guide like turns me on. Like obviously I beeline to Bravo, I see what's on. And I was really fortunate because I was there on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. So I was getting a lot of good reruns of Beverly Hills, Valley Persian Style, Southern Charm, and Summer House, all of which are just killing it. And I was even able to watch them in real time, which felt very luxurious as well. And I mean, I will give a little knock to Bravo, but what are we doing on Friday nights, Bravo? We're still playing like a 2000 sports comedy called The Replacements on a Friday night. Like, that's what I want old school Bravo shows airing. Like, we do not need, Cheaper by the Dozen 2 playing on a Friday night. I want to watch an old episode of The Rachel Zoe Project. I want Old Flipping Out. I want any show that isn't a 2-hour family friendly film. I will say, when you're scrolling the television, you can kind of get caught up in some of your old faves from, at least for me when I was like in high school and had access to cable television. But I mean, finding yourself in a 2-hour hole of Treehouse Masters is so exciting. Again, it reminds me that I can possibly never even afford a home, let alone a mini home in a tree. It does, bring up some socioeconomic issues I am currently facing, but it still is really fun. And also, watching guys' grocery games is really exciting when you're in a hotel room because again, you're just scrolling and you find it and you watch the episode. Same with diners, drive-ins, and dives. Really anything Guy Fieri is involved in is really exciting to watch while you're in a hotel room by yourself. And I know I can watch these shows just on streaming sites, but there's actually something quite depressing about watching guys' grocery games by choice, like seeking it out, picking the contestants that you want to watch. Like it's supposed to be like a serendipitous experience when you're just scrolling the channel guide and to find yourself in a guy's grocery games. And I mean that also goes for Impractical Jokers. Adore the show, but again, I'm not seeking it out. It's something that I want when I'm watching cable television. During my entire trip to LA, I didn't see a single D-list celebrity. It was all I really wanted. And I mean, A-list would have been awesome, but I was really seeking out D-list. That's kind of what I find to be more exciting. I did get a little tidbit from some colleagues who I was hanging with. Someone did spot Keegan-Michael Key, the actor comedian who was on Key and Peele. He was on Mad TV, and they spotted him on a flight coming to Los Angeles. And supposedly him and his wife were smooching on the plane, and not just like one little smoochy smooch. Like it was aggressive PDA. She was sitting on his lap at one point and they were making out. And it seems like based on this very sweet guy who did not know I was going to be coming onto the podcast to talk about this, he seemed perturbed by the entire situation. He seemed disgusted. And I'm sorry, you two get a room. Like, at least they were in first class, so, like, I'll give them that, but nobody wants to see people kissing on a plane. Any type of sexuality on a plane should be basically illegal. Some other tea I picked up along the way was a little bit about Mariah Carey. I found out what Mariah Carey's McDonald's order is, and it's a Big Mac with extra pickles. And haven't tried that. Going to be trying it this weekend because is there anything better than Big Mac? No. And is there anything better than extra pickles just anywhere in general on any piece of food on any plate? No, there's literally nothing better. I'm addicted to pickles. And so this made me really excited just about, going to LA, meeting people who are in the business. Clearly, I'm talking and hobnobbing with very high profile people. Keegan-Michael Key, that is D-list drama, as well as a Mariah Carey McDonald's order. You guys tune into this show every fucking week because I am full of celebrity hot gossip. I will say I was staying in a crazy hotel, and I'm not going to go into what it is called or anything like that, but we described it while we were hanging out on this rooftop. That was a bizarre, interesting experience full of very interesting, creative-looking people. We called it Barnum and Bailey's Opium Den. Like, that's what it felt like. That was the energy. And while we were up on this den, we had this gorgeous woman saunter over to us, and she was like, "I hope you don't mind if I'm smoking here." We're like, "Absolutely not." And then she carries on and says, "Oh, I'm in town for my friend's funeral." We're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." She goes, "Catherine O'Hara. Did you hear she passed away?" And in my head, I'm like, "Babe, my TikTok about her death got almost 2,000 views. Yeah, I know." And she carries on to say she went to Catherine's funeral, which was the Saturday. No information about it has been online. They went to a church service and whatnot, and this lovely woman was, two martinis deep. She was also wearing a neckerchief, a look that I will be wearing on Wednesday. I will take a photo and post it on the Megan the Podcaster Instagram account of me with my neckerchief on another project I'm working on. So I did get a new fashion tip from her, but basically she was saying it's so devastating, closed invite only event, and she continues on to say, "Oh, I met Catherine one week when I was on SNL. She was only there for a week, yada, yada." We didn't get any information about this woman. I feel like I could have, been looking in the mirror at me in, 40 years. Who is this woman? Like, just hanging out in Los Angeles, two martinis deep. We're up in a seg, about to, go to a church service for your deeply beloved bestie. Who are you? It felt crazy. I don't know. There was something about the night. There was a glass of white wine in me, so I was particularly sentimental at the time. But oh my God, R.I.P. But speaking of R.I.P., R.I.P. to James Van Der Beek. We all know he's been suffering from cancer for a few years now. He had been secretly battling colorectal cancer for a few years. In 2024, he ended up coming out and telling the public that he was going through treatment and chemotherapy, the works. Him and his wife have been together since 2010. The two of them share 6 kids together. They, as a family, of course, are mourning the loss of their husband, their father, and everybody in Hollywood loved him as well. So it's been, pretty shocking and devastating, especially when someone like James Van Der Beek has a lot of the ability to, have insurance and whatnot. And yet even he, back in December of this past year, had been trying to raise money for, his cancer treatments by selling and auctioning his Dawson's Creek items, which are his most high ticket items that he could sell. He raised about $47,000 to continue to pay for various cancer treatments. And his family, in the wake of his death, has created their own GoFundMe account to help, supplement the life expenses of the family. They've currently raised $2.6 million, and a bunch of people anonymously donated. I have to say, I am disgusting. I'm a disgusting person, and I did look at the list to see if I could see any names that I recognized in the donation list. The 50K people were all anonymous, of course. It reminds me of the good old episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry went by anonymous and Ted Danson put his name on the wing. And then, how does Larry then subsequently let everybody know that he actually was and is the anonymous? But then that defeats the purpose of being anonymous. So that reminded me of this situation, but I did notice that Steven Spielberg and his wife had donated $25,000 to the GoFundMe, which is incredibly generous, of course. You know, people have a problem with the family opening this GoFundMe account for their, life expenses, I guess. However, it does seem like the couple actually purchased a $4.76 million ranch in Texas just weeks before his passing. So people are like, oh, really? You're going to buy this $5 million home? Yet you're also going to ask people for $2.6 million, which obviously further added to the criticism of this GoFundMe account. I mean, what the fuck do I care? I imagine if I had 6 children with a man who's been dying from cancer for the last few years, I would too be seeking out some help. Clearly, the guy was selling his Dawson's Creek items to pay for the cancer treatments in general. And I mean, this is honestly a perfect reminder that many Americans are in fact not pro-life, because if they were, they would be for universal health care. It's clear as day that even people with means are still struggling to pay and afford life-enhancing or life-saving medical attention. So fuck this whole fucking world. And we're about to get into a full fucking rip-roaring good time. We need to talk about the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the bison in the room, which is more of a large American animal. I do not want to use non-Native American animals in analogies moving forward. I don't want to hurt the precious American egos by even the thought of mentioning a majestic sub-Saharan animal like an elephant. So there is a bison in the room, and that bison is Jill Zarin. The tables have turned in 1 week. I had an amazing guest on last week. I'm not sure if you listened to my episode with Brandon. It was so silly and so fun. I really enjoyed having him on. But we talked about how the ladies from the Real Housewives of New York are going to be heading down to Palm Beach to film their new reboot for E! Network called The Golden Life. Fast forward. Dun, dun, dun. If I had a soundboard, I would have really thrown it in there, but instead I'll just sing-song it for you. Fast forward to this past Super Bowl Sunday. Again, a game I didn't watch, but I heard it kind of sucked. So I'm just entirely ahead of the curve anyways. American performer Bad Bunny performed a killer set during his halftime show. I mean, the performance, no notes. The choreography, sharp and fucking sexy. The camera work, cinematic. I love just him looking to the left and there was a camera shooting him. Oh. The rehearsals must have been robust for this performance. The energy of it from start to finish, unmatched. To me, it was 10 out of 10. Pure artistry on full display. And I mean, let's also just say it. Bad Bunny's fucking sexy. So that also had a little bit to do with the show's magic. There were cameos from Ricky Martin, as well as Lady Gaga, who was cosplaying Latina a little bit. It's funny because she kind of shapeshifts in a way, but it doesn't feel deeply problematic when she does it. Again, I'm biased about all of this. I've loved Bad Bunny. He's been in my top Spotify artists for the past 2 years in running, likely making a top spot in 2026 if I have anything to fucking do with it, which I have all to do with it. But I honestly just like to shake my ass. That's exactly what music is. Some music I want to cry. Some music I want to shake my ass. And Bad Bunny makes me want to shake my ass. And that's exactly what happened during the entire halftime show for me. Just a normal, dumb American woman who doesn't know a single word of Spanish. My stupid ass thought French and Italian was going to be practical in my adult life. Had I known that Bad Bunny would be performing at the 2026 Super Bowl halftime show, I might have started studying Spanish. But we discussed a few months ago that Bad Bunny would be performing at the Super Bowl in general and also performing in Spanish. And we cannot forget that there were actually petitions going around that time that said that Americans wanted Bad Bunny to be replaced by septuagenarian George Strait, a country singer you've never heard of. And it seems like a bunch of Americans are really wishing they had signed that Change.org petition. They're like, had I known he would be grabbing his crotch, I would have signed the petition, George Strait. So this is where Jill Zarin comes into the mix. So Jill Zarin decides to take out her phone and get onto Instagram stories and truly go off. Jill, tell us how you really feel. So she's speaking to camera and she's saying, so we all agree, right? That was the worst halftime show ever. This is the 250th anniversary of America, and we have this non-American on our screens gyrating, grabbing his G area. And I'm sorry, am I just like such a sicko that like I would never say the word groin? I would say like he was grabbing his junk. Like I don't know, maybe that's childish of me. Jill said, so one of the big problems was Bad Bunny touching his G area during the halftime performance, which I find is really hilarious given our president has been caught on hot mic saying he also wants to grab women by their G areas. But it's fine when Trump does it. It is not fine when Bad Bunny does it. Noted. She said there's basically no white people in the entire thing. Not true. Did anybody miss Alex Earl there, standing amongst a group of gorgeous Latino Americans? And like the NFL was trying their best to placate some of their audience. They're like, you might not know who Bad Bunny is, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to know every musician. That's fine. But here is a podium of hot Latinas that you may know. And people are like, like cleaning the glasses. Is that Jessica Alba? Is that Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem? They were like, we're bringing out the biggest Latinas in the world so that Americans feel comfortable. And then they bring out Alex Earl because she's the hot new thing who's possibly dating and or flirting, whatever we want to call it, with Tom Brady. They said, look, you sad, boring, unhappy, rusty-ass white people, there's Alex Earl. That's exactly what you want. 23, blonde, dating a fucking quarterback or whatever. Like that, you get her too. Aren't you so fucking thrilled? So Jill goes on to say there's no white people. This is a political statement. And then she had the caucasity to say, I'm not taking a side one way or another. Jill, when you decided to make this rant video, you are inherently taking a side with this nonsense that you're fucking spewing. She said the NFL sold out. This is 75 years of the NFL. This is the worst show she's ever seen. She goes on to say that Lady Gaga got a facelift, and it's rich coming from your unrecognizable baseball mitt looking ass face, because I don't remember the last time that I've seen Jill Zarin and thought she looks so natural. That has never been the case, honey. She goes on to critique Ricky Martin, who, I'm sorry, is looking amazing. She said he either got a bad hair transplant or a facelift. But Jill, what the fuck do you care? And then she continues on to say, the piece that was really ridiculous. This is all subliminal messaging in protest to ICE. And it's so funny that this performance that was literally rooted in love and trying to bring together America, because let's not forget, America is not just the United States. I know that's incredibly hard to remember because we live in an ethnocentric world. However, there's a lot of countries in America. So he was reflecting that. And again, history lesson, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. So he's an American. She goes on to say, I know I'm being critical. I just gotta say it the way I feel, Gary. And you hear poor Gary. You know who's dealing with this the worst? Fucking Gary. That poor man. He was basically saying, like, I don't entirely agree. I thought the performance was very creative. Bad Bunny's an incredible performer. He said, I don't think it's a good match for the Super Bowl. So he wasn't like white power Jill vibes. He admitted that he was a great performer all in all. And so it's interesting because it's like, okay, so if he's a very creative and an unbelievable performer and one of the top selling artists in the country, if not in the world, then why wouldn't he be a good match for the Super Bowl? Again, they should have signed the George Strait petition if they really had a fucking problem. Gary goes on to tell Jill, you're going to lose half your followers. And I have actually been tracking this deeply. And since all of this has happened on Super Bowl Sunday, she's lost about 10,000 followers. She did make her Instagram private a couple days ago, but she's back. She's back. Don't worry. And I just have to say, bitch, eat your 7-layer dip and shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear your foolish, racist thoughts. Save that for the peanut gallery at your shitty fucking party. To think that you can spew such hate like that and not get any backlash is hilarious. And she actively acknowledged Gary, her boyfriend, telling her, like, this isn't going to be good for you. And she had no ability to see her own actions and maybe decide to not post that. I literally DM'd her saying, like, subliminal messaging, you've officially lost it. And I unfollowed her before it started, like, blowing up on the internet. And I mean, clearly people are not happy. But we can also not forget that history does not repeat itself. In 2011, Jill got fired from the Real Housewives of New York. In 2022, Roni Legacy was going to be a show about the Roni ladies, but it ended up dying on the vine because of her pay demands, which is hilarious. Like, you think you deserve more than the other ladies? Girl, you truly have lost the plot many times over. In 2023, Legacy becomes Ultimate Girls Trip, and she was not asked to be included in that. 2025, she was passed over for members only Palm Beach. I wonder why. And then in 2026, just 2 days after this rant, Blink 49 Studios, the production company who is producing Golden Life, ended up coming out with a statement saying, in light of recent public comments made by Jill Zarin, Blink 49 Studios has decided to not move forward with her involvement in the show. We remain committed to delivering the series in line with our company standards and values. So, surprise, surprise, the bitch got fucking fired again. You dumb bitch. You might, feel like your words aren't actually hurting anybody, but ultimately, your words only hurt yourself because you got fucking fired, Jill, after years of clamoring to get back onto television. It is honestly poetic. And I mean, the fallout is pretty vast. Her deceased husband, Bobby, who, by the way, Bobby was like half the reason this woman was palatable on television in general. Once he passed away, I feel like viewers were like, all right, we're extra done with her. We all saw they filmed at Bobby's funeral, Bobby. And, Jill probably thought that was going to be her in back onto the show, but even that couldn't get her back on. But Bobby's grandson, Bobby's son's child, ended up going onto Reddit and didn't ask me anything. The information was not that piping hot or interesting. Basically just that she, was a fucking bitch. Like, no surprise. I think the hardest thing Jill is going through right now has been the massive response from Zarin Fabrics. They posted a photo of her on Instagram with just a massive big X on her face, basically saying, we do not condone what she says and we are not associated with her. We haven't been for X amount of years. X marks the spot for a bitch looking for a job because she's back to claiming those unemployment checks in Florida, which are probably $11 a month, given how much they, care about the people who live there. And to make matters worse, Zarin Fabrics not only posted the Instagram story with the X on her face, they also posted a banner on the top of their website saying, Zarin Fabrics has not been associated with Jill since Bobby's death. We are proud Americans who accept all people no matter what language they speak. I absolutely love that. I mean, it's just chef's kiss. I like to see a dumb bitch go down. I can't deny it. You know what? You say horrible things, you're hurtful, you're gross, you're rude, and you're indignant about it. And you have freedom of speech, but the production company also has the freedom to fire you for the choice of words that you use. So, hell yeah, I'm proud of that production company. I will say I'm worried about the other girls because Dorinda is now coming on. Dorinda is now hired to replace Jill, which again is a good swap in theoretically, but we all know Dorinda can get unruly. I think that's a good word, unruly, when cameras are, filming them, as well as, alcohol being in the mix. Again, I think there must have been some type of alcohol limit on Traders, which is why she's been, a very pleasant person to watch. But I am a little scared of that. We also got word that Aviva Drescher will be making a cameo on the new season of Golden Life, which I am excited for. I'm excited to bring Aviva back into the mix. I think, her prop comedy that she used with the leg was a little bit much a couple years ago, but I feel like in the era that we're living in now on reality TV, a prosthetic leg being thrown at Le Cirque would feel reasonable at this point. I feel like had it happened these days, we would be throwing her up with like Heather Gay's like screenshots, proof, timeline, etc. Like I feel like it would have been seen as like a very iconic thing versus like a very bizarre display of being angry. Jill did come out with her apology. It was quite terse. She said, "They didn't even give me a chance. I took it down right away. People make mistakes. I'm human." And it seems like she's forgetting that the non-white people she so deeply cannot stand are also humans. Seems ironic. She also seems to believe that taking the stories down made it go away, but everything on the internet lives forever. So just because you took it down doesn't mean you didn't say the words. And actions have consequences. You knew what you were saying was inflammatory and cruel because you kept justifying the things that you were saying in many different ways. You had people in the room telling you that this is going to get backlash, and you still decided to post it. You losing your job, followers, and, your public image is your own fault, not the fault of snowflake fans. And it's all funny because, we all know that there had been an alternative quote unquote family friendly performance at the Super Bowl featuring Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Price, and Gabby Barrett. Even George Strait said, "I'm not going to be a part of this turning point bullshit." But I'm sorry, like, who's listening to Kid Rock? Like, does anyone like seek him out as a performer anymore? Or is he just like the MAGA figurehead who's willing to put their name on like the most embarrassing fake event possible? Like, he just was like, all right, I'll do it for the money. Hell yeah. I kept hearing from some people that one of the problems that they had with Bad Bunny was that he was speaking in Spanish and people can't understand Spanish. And I mean, I get that. Maybe they could have put subtitles on for some of his songs so people could enjoy the lyrics. But to be honest with you, like, I guess even Fox News is now pumping out that, all of the words to his songs were deeply inappropriate. It's like, okay, but if they were so inappropriate in Spanish, then it's good. Then you're impressionable children. Oh my God, you're not your kids. Oh my God, not your kids. The same people who are like upset with what these words possibly mean in English are the same people who have a wall of guns in their basement. And Bad Bunny songs, let's be real, are like the same as like any American pop song. It's like dating and lifestyle and love, traveling, whatever bullshit everybody else is fucking singing about. Yet, Kid Rock, we cannot forget about a song called Cool Daddy Cool that he came out with in the early 2000s where he had a line that said, young ladies, I like 'em underage. Some say that's statutory, but I say that's mandatory." So again, in the world that we're living in, even certifiable creeps like Kid Rock will still get fucking hired. We live in the Epstein era, babe. You can do whatever you want to an impressionable child. And get away with it. Mind you, President Trump didn't even fucking watch at Mar-a-Lago. Shows you how much he fucking cares about, like, this, a version of America that he's trying to create so desperately. All right, I'll get off my soapbox just a little bit, but I did want to kind of go back to when Jill Zarin was on Below Deck a few years ago. I don't remember where she went, but obviously somewhere lovely on a fucking super yacht. And they showed her preference sheet. And if you know me, like, I'm obsessed with like talent writers, preference sheets, anything that gives you a little bit of insight into the celebrity that we're talking about really helps, give me more clarity as to who this person is. So let's talk a little bit about the beverages and coffee tea section. We don't have the food section, which is devastating, but actually we do have a little bit of food. We'll get there. Okay, soda. All caps, only Diet Coke, no Diet Pepsi. If you can't get it in advance, let me know as I will bring them from the States. I drink at least 10 cans of Diet Coke a day. Okay, bitch, so your brain is rotting. And she's one of those dummies where she's like, Diet Coke doesn't have sugar. It's like, so what's making it sweet? Fake shit that is pretending to taste like sugar. Just drink a real Coke if you want it. But 10 a day? That's illegal behavior. Juice, orange, parentheses, not fresh. No pulp, Tropicana, or brand. okay, whatever. But like, again, you're going on a super yacht and you're like, I do not want freshly squeezed orange juice. That's disgusting. And again, it's crazy because us plebeians, like, who would be going on a super yacht would probably murder for a gorgeous cup of fresh orange juice, but not her. She does not like it fresh. She likes still water. They don't drink beer. Liquor. Jill doesn't drink anything but Diet Coke on the rocks, except for Gary will drink whatever the other guests are drinking. Wine, she says we don't care. Mixed drinks. This is what I found deeply troublesome for Jill Zarin. She said, I do like a mudslide with chocolate syrup on the glass. Very frozen. TGIF makes a great pre-made with alcohol. If they get it, great. If not, no worries. Kahlua is a must. So again, Jill has had problematic opinions about things for a while. I could go for another 45 minutes talking about the other fucked up things she's been saying in the past few years, but that's, going to get me too amped up. But what I find really despicable is her love of a mudslide with chocolate syrup on the glass. And again, she's expecting people on a super yacht who again are cooking and serving at the highest level pretty much possible. She's suggesting to them to go get a TGI Fridays pre-made mudslide mix. Girl, what the fuck is that? Everyone's gonna be drinking wine at dinner and you're gonna have a mudslide with chocolate syrup on the glass? That's gonna give you diarrhea and you don't want that on a boat. I'm just disgusted by her. Then again, Jill, no coffee, only Diet Coke. We get it. Dislikes. Gary will eat anything. Jill will not, lol. I do not like condiments. Fancy foods like caviar, foie gras, duck, ham, except bacon, sushi, raw meat, cold soup, dips, mayo. Bitch, you don't even like dips? And I told her 10 minutes ago to go eat your fucking 7-layer dip. That's probably why she was so pissy and upset about the halftime show, because she doesn't even enjoy dips. She doesn't enjoy a cold soup. She doesn't enjoy mayo. She doesn't enjoy fancy food like caviar, foie gras, or duck or ham, except bacon. This bitch has no fucking taste in music or in food. Oh, this is silly. I didn't even see this part. Wow, you guys. Dietary restrictions. I wish I was allergic to sugar. Supposedly, she's telling sources that she's been in contact with a well-known mental health clinic to be admitted. Things are not good. She never expected this and she's very sorry for her words. She misspoke. In what moment in those 2 slides of her ranting and raving did she misspeak? Again, she went back many times after saying something disgusting and said, I stand by this. I know it's critical. I stand by it. I know I'm going to lose followers. I don't care. She knew exactly what the fuck she's saying. And we all know she doesn't fucking drink alcohol unless it's a disgusting diarrhea-laden fucking mudslide. She's not even drinking. She's not wasted. We all know Jill and Kelly Dodd and a couple other crusty old bitches are, fellow cancel queens. They're standing by one another. And this woman on Instagram, Dr. Divya Srinivasa, she is a gorgeous doctor and she makes videos on social media talking about what's going on, in pop culture, as well as like talking about makeup. And she's a doctor, so she talks about doctor things. And she basically came out and spoke to Jill's entire situation. And then I guess Kelly Dodd ends up making a video of some type of getting ready with me where she is like just trying to explain that Jill called her and was very upset with what's going on. And then, Kelly's a fucking moron. So she's trying to like explain what's happening. And of course she's saying, she's not racist. Jill doesn't say she hates black people or Mexicans. It's like, no, she's just saying she doesn't want to see them. And even Rick at their radio show was saying like, yeah, I mean, she kind of crossed the line about the comment about white people. And, again, Kelly doesn't back down. We all know this. We've all seen and heard Kelly Dodd say horrific things to even her own child. So obviously nothing is off limits. And basically Kelly starts coming out with these insane videos in defense of Jill, which we've now fully pivoted away from Jill. And now Kelly is just going off on this doctor claiming she's ugly. She has ugly dark circles under her eyes. She made racist remarks about the spelling of her name, and then I'm not even gonna impersonate Kelly because she's such a fucking moron, but makes a very racist comment about the pronunciation of her name. Then she claims that this doctor should have changed her name to be easily pronounced in American culture. She then continues on to critique the size of her nose. She calls the woman fugs. She said she was making fun of me because I cannot pronunciate words. And I mean, the jokes are writing themselves these days, people. Like, honey, you can't pronounce the words. She told her to get a job. She told her to get a life. And then she says, I bet you're single. And if you're not, I bet your husband probably beats you. What in the world? Like, this woman just called Kelly low IQ. And Kelly is annihilating her. I mean, she said, don't you take an oath to be a doctor, the Hippocratic oath to do no harm. And this doctor is like, yeah, there's actually no clause within the within this oath that says you can't call out racist bigots. And she also, at the end of it all, I mean, not the end of it all, whatever, she ends up saying, plastic surgeons are the lowest doctor on the totem pole, which is, again, funny considering how many plastic surgeons Callie has paid over the years to continue making her face look different year over year. And they should really repurpose Jeffrey Epstein's decrepit island and just put all of the canceled morons on that island. They can create their own little universe where they can all just be together and they can all be crying during the Super Bowl and, be buddy buddy together. George Strait can play around sound. They can have speakers that look like rocks all around the property, playing American only music. And, just sucking the dick of our president and all of the other hateful people in this world who are so quick to want to bring these immigrants down. And I think everybody can kind of agree. I think Democrats and Republicans can agree that violent criminals who do not have proper paperwork to live in this country should be sent back to where they're from. I don't think that's like so crazy to suggest that. But the aggressive force used by, ICE immigration agents towards people who are legal, people who have jumped through hoops to get their green card, and I've said it here before, like, so many immigrants are literally fleeing war-torn countries, gang violence, so much that Americans cannot even stomach or begin to understand could happen in places in 2026. And so when, people are seeking asylum or are desperate to get out of their own countries and come to America, the land of the free, a place that has always been open to immigrants coming here legally, like, it's a little insane to think that you would villainize an entire population of people when we are a country built on immigrants. So, I mean, it's all fucked up. Kelly obviously is like, well, I'm Mexican. I'm 0.3% black. And it's like, just because you're Mexican doesn't mean you can't be saying racist things. Like, I honestly think this Dr. Divya needs to be a bartender on Watch What Happens Live immediately. John Hill has been commenting on all her pictures. Andy Cohen has, Tamara Judge, like tons of other people in the Housewives universe have also been, reaching out to her on socials and kind of giving her fucking flowers because she's fucking taking down Kelly Dodd, who's like now making like what seemingly is like drunk videos of her defending herself, again, just making things worse time and time again. Clearly she's struck a nerve with Kelly, and I absolutely adore that. You guys, there's a lot going on in the world. I know, I gotta wrap this up soon, but I mean, no new updates really in Savannah Guthrie's case. The video footage came out of the kidnapper at the front door, which was absolutely terrifying. It doesn't seem to have given them much of a leg up in the investigation. Savannah Guthrie is still making deeply, deeply sad videos trying to talk to the kidnappers, basically saying it's never too late to do the right thing. So if you have my mother, please let her go. So if you're listening to the show and happen to know anything, if you happen to have Nancy Guthrie in your basement, feel free to just let her go, because everybody's ready for this entire gut-wrenching situation to be completely over. A few other things that have kind of come across my desk. Rihanna and Bronwyn Newport from Salt Lake City are hanging out. Again, we all know how I feel about Bronwyn. I mean, it's giving fame whore. But you know what? If Rihanna has found the ability to love and accept Bronwyn, then I probably should as well, because I am a huge, huge lover of all things Rihanna. And one thing to just finish up today's show about is, we talk about Nancy Guthrie being missing, but Luann de Lesseps from the Real Housewives of New York and now the Golden Life show has also lost something very near and dear to her. She lost one of her favorite fedoras. And while Nancy Guthrie's, missing situation has a big reward if found, Luann's not giving anybody any money if they come across her hat. She just said, please email my assistant. And again, I just love her commitment to the bit. She made a wanted sign on her Instagram, and she's blasting it out to the people of the world, saying, if you see something, say something, and please get my hat dropped off back to my, home in Palm Beach or wherever the fuck she actually lives, and get it back to me safely, please. Thank you so much. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning into I Know You Didn't Ask. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you guys staying with me while I figure out my adult job. You guys, I'm an adult. I have money again. I'm going to blow it on stupid shit. JK, I'm going to squirrel it away and hope for the best and just keep fucking chugging along. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your week and DM me. Let me know what you think of the episode. And I mean, my DMs, I probably have like 40 DMs right now. I'm just not looking, but I'll get better, you guys. Day over day, I just try to get better. I'm like Jill Zarin. I'm only human. I can only do so much. So thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.